Imagine this. You wake up one morning, the sun creeping through your curtains, casting a soft, golden hue across your room. You stretch, take a deep breath, and for the first time in what feels like an eternity, you feel a profound sense of calm. The worries that have plagued your mind, the incessant chatter of anxieties about work, relationships, and the future, begin to dissolve like mist under the morning sun. In this moment of mental clarity, you realize something startling. Your emotional detachment is not a weakness, but a source of immense power. Now, consider this unsettling paradox. In a world that relentlessly promotes emotional investment as a virtue, the act of caring less seems almost revolutionary. We are conditioned to believe that love, empathy, and concern are the cornerstones of meaningful relationships. Yet, what if the key to true influence lies in the very act of stepping back, withdrawing your emotional energy, and embracing a calculated indifference? What if, by relinquishing your worries, you inadvertently cast a shadow of fear over those around you? As you ponder this, ask yourself, what happens when you stop caring? Does the world collapse in chaos, or do others, instead, begin to feel an unsettling sense of vulnerability? Who holds the reins of power? The one who invests emotionally or the one who remains aloof, observing from a distance? The tension between fear and love plays out in every interaction, yet it often goes unnoticed, lurking beneath the surface of our daily lives. Picture a scenario. A colleague at work, once confident and assertive, suddenly finds themselves on shaky ground. They notice your newfound calmness, your ability to navigate challenges without the weight of concern. As they struggle to maintain their composure, a sense of panic sets in. They begin to question their own worth, their own stability, as they realize that your emotional detachment has shifted the power dynamics in the office. In this unsettling dance of human interaction, who is truly in control? This brings us to an even deeper question. Why do we cling to our worries and anxieties, allowing them to dictate our actions and decisions? What if the very act of worrying is an illusion, a facade that hides the underlying power we possess? The more we care, the more we risk being consumed by our emotions, leaving us vulnerable to manipulation. Conversely, when we draw back and stop worrying, we create an unnerving silence that resonates with those around us, often leading them to panic. They start to question their own stability in the face of your calmness. As we explore the depths of this paradox, we must confront the reality of our emotional investments. What role do they play in our lives? Are they genuinely beneficial, or do they serve as chains that bind us to a narrative of fear and dependence? In the quest for power and control, it becomes essential to challenge our assumptions about emotional engagement and recognize the potential benefits of emotional detachment. Consider the implications of this shift. The moment you stop worrying, you reclaim your power, and those who once felt secure in their emotional investments begin to feel the tremors of uncertainty. It's a psychological game, one that can turn the tides of influence and control in your favor. Yet, this realization does not come without its challenges. The journey toward emotional detachment requires a profound shift in mindset, a willingness to confront the societal norms that dictate how we should feel and interact. As you contemplate these questions, the air thickens with anticipation. You are on the precipice of a revelation that could redefine your understanding of relationships, power, and control. What if the fear that others experience when you stop worrying is merely a reflection of their own insecurities? What if your emotional sovereignty could lead to a newfound sense of freedom, liberation from the shackles of societal expectations? In the next section, we will delve deeper into the hidden problem that lies at the heart of our emotional entanglements. We will explore the psychological and philosophical roots of our anxieties, uncovering the forces that shape our behavior and identity. Prepare to confront the uncomfortable truths that have long been buried beneath layers of societal conditioning. Are you ready to continue this journey into the depths of human emotion and power dynamics? The answers await, but only if you dare to look beyond the surface.
As we dive deeper into the labyrinth of human emotions, it becomes essential to understand why we find ourselves ensnared in this intricate web of worry and attachment. The truth is that our emotional investments are not merely personal choices. They are influenced by a complex interplay of psychological conditioning, societal expectations, and deeply ingrained philosophical beliefs about what it means to be human. At the core of this exploration lies a fundamental truth. Our emotions are not just feelings. They are powerful forces that govern our interactions and shape our identities. Thinkers such as Carl Jung and Friedrich Nietzsche have long posited the idea that our unconscious drives and societal constructs profoundly influence how we perceive ourselves and our place in the world. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious suggests that we all share a repository of experiences, emotions, and archetypes that inform our behavior. This shared emotional landscape can lead to a collective fear of detachment, as we are conditioned to view emotional investment as a hallmark of our humanity. Consider Nietzsche's assertion that he who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. This idea resonates deeply within the context of emotional investment. When we attach our identities to our worries and fears, we create a narrative that defines our existence, one that is often steeped in anxiety and dependency. We cling to our emotions as a means of finding purpose, believing that the more we care, the more meaningful our experiences become. However, this creates a paradox. Our very attachment to these emotions can become a source of suffering, limiting our freedom and diminishing our power. Arthur Schopenhauer echoes this sentiment with his exploration of suffering and desire. He posits that human existence is riddled with pain, largely stemming from our unfulfilled desires and attachments. We often find ourselves in a cycle of wanting more love, more validation, more security, only to be met with disappointment and distress. This cyclical nature of desire reinforces our emotional investments, tying us ever tighter to our fears and worries. In this context, the act of stopping our worrying becomes revolutionary. It is a rejection of the cycle of desire that keeps us bound to our anxieties. Similarly, Aldous Huxley, in his exploration of human behavior, highlights the societal pressures that dictate how we should feel and express our emotions. We are taught to equate emotional investment with strength and integrity, creating an unspoken rule that to care less is to be cold or indifferent. This conditioning fuels a collective anxiety, as individuals fear being perceived as emotionally detached or unloving. Yet, this very fear can become a weapon against us, as it prevents us from recognizing the liberating potential of emotional detachment. Jean-Paul Sartre's existential philosophy further complicates our understanding of emotional attachment. He suggests that we are condemned to be free, burdened by the weight of our choices and the responsibility that comes with them. In this light, our emotional investments can be seen as a way to assert control over an otherwise chaotic existence. However, this assertion of control through worry only serves to further entrench us in a state of anxiety, leaving us powerless in the face of our own fears. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, offers a contrasting perspective by emphasizing the importance of finding meaning in suffering. His experiences in concentration camps taught him that even in the most harrowing circumstances, individuals could reclaim their power by choosing their responses to suffering. This insight reveals a profound truth. While we may not always have control over our external circumstances, we can choose how we engage with our emotions and the narratives we build around them. As we grapple with these philosophical insights, it becomes clear that our emotional attachments are not merely personal experiences. They are shaped by a broader social and psychological context. The pressure to conform to societal expectations regarding emotional investment creates a paradox that leaves many feeling trapped in cycles of worry and dependency. The weight of this conditioning can feel suffocating, leading us to question whether true emotional sovereignty is even possible. This is where the hidden problem lies. Our emotional investments are often rooted in societal conditioning that equates love and care with strength, leaving little room for the exploration of emotional detachment as a source of power. We become entangled in a narrative that suggests that to care less is to become less human, overlooking the potential benefits of strategic indifference. As we peel back the layers of this hidden problem, we begin to understand how it shapes not only our individual experiences but also our relationships with others. The fear of detachment looms large, creating a psychological landscape where vulnerability is seen as a weakness rather than a strength. The consequences of this conditioning ripple outward, influencing how we interact with friends, family, and colleagues, and ultimately shaping the power dynamics in our personal and professional lives. What emerges from this exploration is a sense of urgency, a need to confront the societal forces that dictate our emotional investments and to challenge the narratives that confine us. The implications are profound. If we can begin to understand the psychological and philosophical roots of our worries, we can start to dismantle the chains that bind us to them. In the next section, we will delve into the unseen consequences of this emotional entanglement, revealing how it silently shapes our personal realities and the broader societal landscape. Are you ready to uncover the deeper truths that lie beneath the surface of our emotional experiences? The journey continues, but only if you dare to confront the hidden forces at play. As we navigate the complexities of emotional investment and detachment, we begin to uncover the unseen consequences that reverberate through our lives, often without our conscious awareness. These consequences are not merely personal. They extend into the fabric of societal interactions, shaping norms and behaviors in profound ways. The moment we refuse to acknowledge these implications, we risk remaining trapped in cycles of worry and emotional dependency, blind to the power dynamics at play. One of the most significant unseen consequences of emotional investment is the phenomenon of cognitive bias. Our brains are wired to interpret the world through the lens of our emotions, often leading us to distort reality in ways that reinforce our fears and anxieties. For instance, the negativity bias, a psychological phenomenon where negative experiences weigh more heavily on our minds than positive ones, can skew our perceptions in relationships. When we invest emotionally, we become hyper-aware of potential threats, magnifying any slight or offense as a validation of our fears. This bias not only exacerbates our emotional turmoil, but also distorts our interactions with others, creating a feedback loop of anxiety and mistrust. In addition to cognitive biases, neurological insights reveal that heightened emotional investment can trigger significant changes in our brain chemistry. When we care deeply about someone or something, our brains release oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, which fosters feelings of connection and attachment. However, this same hormone can also make us vulnerable to emotional pain. The moment we perceive a threat to our emotional connection, our bodies react with stress responses, flooding our systems with cortisol, the stress hormone. This biochemical response can lead to heightened anxiety, affecting our decision-making abilities and relationships. By understanding these neurological patterns, we can recognize how emotional investments trap us in cycles of fear and dependency. Cultural conditioning plays a pivotal role in shaping our emotional responses and the societal norms surrounding them. From a young age, we are taught that emotional vulnerability is synonymous with authenticity and connection. Popular media and societal narratives glorify the idea of wearing your heart on your sleeve, reinforcing the belief that to care deeply is inherently virtuous. However, this cultural bias can create an environment where emotional detachment is stigmatized, leading many to feel pressured to remain emotionally invested, even when it serves to their detriment. The fear of being perceived as cold or unfeeling can inhibit personal growth and self-discovery, trapping individuals in a cycle of emotional entanglement. As we consider the unseen consequences of our emotional investments, we must also confront the impact on our identities. The more we tie our sense of self-worth to our emotional connections, the more we risk losing sight of our individual identities. Our relationships become our primary source of validation, leading us to sacrifice our authenticity in the name of maintaining connections. This phenomenon is particularly pronounced in romantic relationships, where individuals may feel compelled to conform to their partner's expectations at the expense of their own desires and needs. The result is a loss of individuality, where personal fulfillment becomes contingent upon the approval of others. The societal implications of this loss of individuality are profound. As we collectively diminish our sense of self, we create a culture that thrives on conformity and dependence. The fear of emotional detachment becomes a pervasive force, stifling creativity, innovation, and authentic expression. This cultural conditioning not only perpetuates cycles of worry and anxiety, but also reinforces power dynamics that favor those who can manipulate emotions to their advantage. Moreover, the emotional investments we make can lead to a misunderstanding of power itself. In our pursuit of connection and acceptance, we often equate power with emotional dependency. We believe that to be loved and accepted is to be powerful, overlooking the fact that true power comes from within. When we surrender our emotional sovereignty to the needs and expectations of others, we relinquish control over our own lives. The irony is palpable. In our quest for connection, we often find ourselves in positions of vulnerability, where those who are less emotionally invested wield greater influence. As we delve deeper into these consequences, the urgency of escaping this unseen trap becomes increasingly apparent. Recognizing the cognitive biases, neurological responses, cultural conditioning, and identity crises that arise from emotional investment is the first step toward reclaiming our power. It is not enough to merely acknowledge these forces. We must actively challenge and dismantle them, forging a new path that embraces emotional sovereignty and detachment. But how do we begin this process of awakening? What strategies can we employ to break free from the unseen consequences that quietly dictate our lives? The answers lie in a radical shift in perspective, one that empowers us to redefine our relationship with emotions and reclaim authority over our own narratives. In the next section, we will explore how to initiate this rebellion against emotional dependency, uncovering counterintuitive solutions and mindset shifts that can pave the way for personal liberation. Are you ready to take the next step toward breaking free from the chains of emotional investment? The journey of transformation awaits, but only if you dare to embrace the unknown. As we stand at the precipice of transformation, the path to breaking free from emotional dependency begins with a radical shift in perspective, a rebellion against the deeply ingrained beliefs that have shaped our understanding of power, relationships, and self-worth. This journey requires courage and a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths that lie beneath our emotional investments. What if, instead of viewing emotional detachment as a weakness, we embraced it as a source of strength? What if we could redefine our relationship with emotions, not as shackles but as tools for empowerment? At the heart of this rebellion lies the understanding that emotional control is not about suppressing feelings. Rather, it is about mastering them. The first step in this journey is to cultivate awareness. Start by examining your emotional triggers, those situations or interactions that elicit strong responses. Ask yourself, why do these moments affect me so deeply? What underlying beliefs about myself and my relationships are at play? By identifying these triggers, you can begin to understand the narratives that have dictated your emotional experiences. This process of introspection can be both illuminating and liberating. Consider the wisdom of Viktor Frankl, who emphasized the importance of finding meaning in suffering. He believed that while we cannot always control our circumstances, we can choose how we respond to them. This mindset shift is revolutionary. Instead of allowing your emotions to dictate your responses, you can reclaim your power by choosing how to engage with them. When faced with challenging situations, practice stepping back and observing your emotional reactions without judgment. This practice of emotional detachment allows you to create a space between stimulus and response, enabling you to act from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. Once you have established this awareness, the next step is to cultivate strategic indifference. This does not mean becoming apathetic or indifferent to the world. Rather, it involves recognizing the power of emotional distance in shaping your interactions. By detaching from the need for approval or validation, you create a psychological buffer that enhances your influence over others. As you practice this indifference, you may notice a shift in how others respond to you. No longer tethered to their expectations, you become a force of unpredictability, a presence that commands respect and intrigue. Silence, too, plays a crucial role in this rebellion. In a world that often equates noise with significance, the power of silence can be profoundly unsettling. When you choose to remain silent in the face of emotional turmoil, you create a psychological distance that unnerves those around you. This silence acts as a mirror, reflecting their insecurities and amplifying their fears. Learn to embrace stillness as a powerful communication tool, one that allows you to assert your presence without the need for words. In this space of silence, you regain control over your emotional landscape and invite others to confront their own vulnerabilities. Moreover, consider the importance of setting boundaries. In your journey toward emotional sovereignty, it becomes essential to establish clear boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. This means learning to say no when necessary, prioritizing self-care, and recognizing that your worth is not contingent upon the approval or acceptance of others. Healthy boundaries allow you to engage in relationships from a position of strength, ensuring that your emotional investments are balanced and mutually beneficial. As you cultivate these practices, You may find inspiration in historical examples of individuals who broke free from emotional dependency and reclaimed their power. Think of figures like Nelson Mandela, who, despite enduring years of imprisonment and hardship, maintained an unwavering commitment to his values and vision. His emotional detachment from his circumstances allowed him to emerge as a powerful leader, one who inspired millions by advocating for reconciliation rather than revenge. Mandela's journey exemplifies the profound impact of emotional sovereignty, demonstrating that true power comes from within. Another compelling example is the Stoic philosophers, whose teachings emphasize the importance of cultivating inner resilience in the face of external challenges. Figures like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca taught that we cannot control the events around us, but we can control our interpretations and responses to those events. This Stoic mindset encourages us to detach from the chaos of the external world, finding strength in our ability to choose how we engage with our emotions. By adopting this perspective, we can navigate the complexities of life with grace and confidence, free from the burden of emotional dependency. Ultimately, this rebellion is about reclaiming your narrative. It is about recognizing that your worth is not defined by your emotional investments, but rather by your ability to navigate the complexities of life with poise and purpose. As you embrace emotional sovereignty, you become the author of your own story, empowered to shape your destiny without being tethered to the expectations of others. The journey toward emotional liberation is not without its challenges. It requires persistence, self-reflection, and a willingness to confront the fears that have held you captive. However, the rewards are immeasurable. A newfound sense of freedom, clarity, and control over your emotional landscape. As you embark on this path, remember that every step you take toward emotional detachment brings you closer to the life you desire. A life marked by authenticity, strength, and resilience. As we prepare to explore the ultimate truth that lies at the heart of this journey, consider the profound implications of emotional sovereignty. What does it mean to live a life free from the chains of emotional dependency? How does this newfound power redefine your relationships, your sense of self, and your place in the world? In the next section, we will uncover the final, most powerful realization, one that has the potential to transform your understanding of reality and illuminate the path forward. Are you ready to embrace this ultimate truth and redefine your existence? The revelation awaits, but only if you dare to venture further into the depths of your own consciousness. As we stand on the precipice of understanding, ready to confront the ultimate truth that emerges from our exploration of emotional detachment and sovereignty, we must prepare ourselves for a revelation that has the power to redefine not only our individual experiences but also the very fabric of our interactions with others. This truth is simple yet profound. When you stop worrying and detach from the emotional chaos that binds you, you do not merely gain power over others. You reclaim your power over yourself. Imagine waking up each day with a renewed sense of purpose, free from the weight of anxiety and the need for validation. Picture a life where your decisions are driven by your true desires, rather than the expectations and fears projected onto you by others. This is the essence of emotional sovereignty, a state of being where your sense of self-worth is derived from within, unshackled by external influences. In this space, you become your own anchor, navigating the unpredictable seas of life with confidence and clarity. The ultimate truth reveals itself in the understanding that our emotional investments are often rooted in a desire for control. We seek to secure our identities and self-worth through the validations of relationships, mistakenly believing that love and acceptance can be earned through worry and care. Yet, this pursuit of control is inherently flawed. True power lies not in the manipulation of emotions, but in the mastery of oneself. When we stop worrying about how others perceive us, we liberate ourselves from the chains of dependency, allowing us to engage with the world authentically and fearlessly. This realization is echoed in the words of the Stoics, who remind us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control our responses. The freedom that comes from emotional detachment empowers us to choose our reactions, allowing us to engage with life on our terms. Instead of being driven by fear, we can act from a place of strength, embracing the uncertainty of life with resilience. Consider the rich tapestry of human experiences. Every individual you encounter carries their own burdens, their own fears, and their own insecurities. When you detach from the need to worry about their perceptions or emotions, you create a space for genuine connection. You begin to relate to others not from a place of dependency but from a shared understanding of the human experience. In this realm of emotional sovereignty, relationships are transformed. They become partnerships grounded in mutual respect, authenticity, and the freedom to be oneself. Moreover, this journey toward emotional detachment invites us to confront the societal constructs that have long dictated how we relate to one another. In a world that often equates emotional investment with love, we must challenge this narrative. Emotional sovereignty does not diminish our ability to love and connect. Rather, it enhances it. When we engage with others from a position of strength, we foster healthier relationships that are not rooted in fear or dependency, but in authenticity and mutual growth. As we contemplate the implications of this ultimate truth, we must also acknowledge the fear that often accompanies it. The idea of releasing emotional attachments can be daunting. It requires us to confront our vulnerabilities and the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. Yet, it is precisely in this discomfort that we find the seeds of transformation. When we embrace the uncertainty of emotional detachment, we open ourselves to new possibilities, a life where we are no longer dictated by our worries, but are guided by our values and aspirations. Consider the metaphor of a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. The transformation from caterpillar to butterfly is not merely a physical change. It is a profound metamorphosis that requires the caterpillar to let go of its former self. As it struggles to break free from the confines of its cocoon, it emerges transformed, capable of flight and freedom. In much the same way, when we relinquish our emotional dependencies, we undergo a metamorphosis that empowers us to soar above the limitations that once held us captive. This journey of emotional sovereignty is not a destination. It is a continuous process of self-discovery and growth. As we embrace this truth, we must remain vigilant in our commitment to cultivating self-awareness, setting boundaries, and engaging with the world authentically. The path may be fraught with challenges, but each step taken toward emotional detachment brings us closer to a life defined by empowerment, clarity, and purpose. In conclusion, the ultimate truth reveals itself in the realization that when you stop worrying, you not only disrupt the emotional dynamics of those around you, but also reclaim your power to shape your reality. You become the architect of your own life, free from the constraints of societal expectations and emotional dependencies. As you step into this newfound freedom, remember that the journey may be uncomfortable, but it is also profoundly liberating. Embrace the unknown, cultivate your emotional sovereignty, and allow yourself to be transformed. As you move forward, carry this truth with you. Power does not come from emotional investment. It comes from the mastery of oneself. In the quiet moments of introspection, as you reflect on your journey, let the weight of this realization settle within you, inspiring you to live authentically, fearlessly, and unapologetically. The world awaits your emergence. Step into your power and let your transformation begin. As we conclude this exploration of emotional detachment and the profound power it holds, it becomes clear that true strength lies not in our ability to care deeply, but in our capacity to master our emotions and reclaim our personal sovereignty. The journey toward emotional sovereignty is one of courage and self-awareness, where we learn that the act of stepping back from our worries can lead to a more authentic and empowered existence. The profound lesson here is that when you stop worrying about the perceptions and expectations of others, you unlock a deeper well of strength within yourself. This emotional detachment allows you to navigate life with clarity and confidence, fostering healthier relationships and authentic connections. You become the architect of your own reality, free from the chains of dependency and anxiety. In this state, you can embrace love and connection on your terms, cultivating relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and understanding rather than fear and obligation. Let this realization inspire you to reflect on your own life. Are there areas where you feel emotionally bound or dependent on others' validation? What would it look like to reclaim your power by embracing emotional sovereignty? As you contemplate these questions, remember that the journey to emotional freedom is not merely about detachment. It is about cultivating a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you. Now, it's your turn to take action. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to like this video to show your support and let us know that you're on board with this journey of emotional empowerment. A comment below with your thoughts or personal experiences regarding emotional detachment. How have you navigated your own emotional landscape? Your insights could inspire others to embark on their own path to sovereignty. Share this message with friends and family who might benefit from these ideas. Together, we can foster a community of individuals who prioritize emotional mastery and authentic connections. Subscribe to our channel for more insightful content that empowers you to live your best life. Join us as we continue to explore profound truths and practical strategies for personal transformation. Embrace your journey toward emotional sovereignty, and let's inspire one another to break free from the constraints of worry and dependency. Together, we can cultivate a world where authenticity and strength flourish. Thank you for being part of this transformative conversation.